Carlisle fireman Jim Templeton had a passion for photography, and on the 24th of May 1964 took a photograph of his eldest daughter on the Solway marshes, the strip of land on the south side of the Solway estuary, separating England from Scotland. When he collected the processed film, the shop assistant said, "That's a marvelous color film, but who's the big fellow?" Jim was baffled until he took a close look at the photographs. On one print, apparently standing just behind his daughter's head, was a large figure dressed in a spaceman suit. Jim knew there had been no one else around at the time he took the photograph and immediately had the negative tested by contacts in the police force and with the film's manufacturers, Kodak. Both said the image had not been tampered with and could not account for what the Cumberland News began to call the Solway Spaceman. The photograph was soon on the front page of the local newspaper, and within days Jim and his daughter became media celebrities as the image was flashed round the world. But the price of this involuntary fame and attention was high. Jim's daughter was taunted and bullied, and he had to take his daughter out of school for a while because her nerves were suffering. The Ministry of Defense showed no interest in the case until the Cumberland News contacted them for their opinion. The Ministry of Defense said they would be pleased to analyze the photograph, but when Jim discovered they required the original film and camera for analysis, he refused, and no official file exists to show they pursued the matter any further. Whether or not Jim was just being cautious in refusing to supply the original film and camera for analysis, or whether he had good reason for not letting them out of his hands, is a matter for speculation, especially in view of information that has arisen in recent years. A strange event then took place which has convinced many UFO investigators that the Ministry of Defense were interested enough to covertly send a pair of secret agents to investigate the bizarre photograph. Later that summer, Jim was visited at the fire station by two men. They were dressed entirely in black and drove a brand new black Jaguar car, unusual garb and transport for the times. They asked to be taken to the place where the photograph was taken. Jim queried their identity and was shown a card bearing an official crest and the word security. They told him, "We're from the ministry, but you don't need to know who we are. We go by numbers." Jim noticed the pair referred to each other as 9 and 11. Their obvious lack of knowledge of the area and inability to pronounce local place names led Jim to conclude they weren't local people. Once they reached the marshes, Jim said the following conversation took place. "Pull up on here. This is where the photograph was taken?" They asked, "Can you take us to the exact spot?" Jim said, "Yes." So they walked across, and Jim said, "This is where the photograph was taken." One looked at the other, and the other looked at him and said, "This is where you saw the large man, the alien?" Jim said, "No, we didn't see anybody. I never saw anybody. Thank you very much," he said, and he walked away. In a somewhat bizarre conclusion to the encounter, the two men drove off, abandoning Jim to walk a mile to the nearest garage for a lift to Carlisle. Jim Templeton never saw the mysterious men in black again. Jim's mysterious visitors have been tied in with all kinds of spurious events in an attempt to keep the idea of government MIB-type agents alive. For example, Jim's photograph has been linked to an anomalous figure that was supposed to have appeared on a Blue Streak missile firing range at Woomera in South Australia. A missile test that was to be carried out that day was cancelled when the Spaceman figure was spotted.